Thanks so much for checking out this resource here at Anchor Church, and we pray that this message would stir your affection to see and love Jesus more clearly in your life.
If you have your Bibles with you, I would love for you to open up to the book of Luke, chapter 22. And this is where we're going to spend most of our time today. Luke 22, you can get there. We're going to look at it in just a few minutes, but I want to share a little bit before we jump into Scripture. We are in a series right now called Church Planting 101. And it is the basics of getting this church off the ground. And the vast majority of this series, we've been walking through the book of Titus. It's this small letter, 3 chapters, written by the Apostle Paul to Titus, who is a church planter. On the island of Crete, he is raising up brand new churches. And Paul just lays out, hey, as a new church, as a church plant, here's some things to focus on initially. It talks a lot about raising up leaders. I mean, it's all about establishing leaders in the local church. But it talks about knowing what you believe and sticking to it. It talks about having conviction, having sound doctrine, and how to refute doctrine that is opposed to the truth of the gospel. He majors on knowing what you believe, creating healthy structures, and raising up leaders. And that is a lot of what we've been doing this almost year, is creating a clarity on what we believe, how to have convictions and values and stick with them, how to create authority structures. And now it is putting leaders in place to build a church that outlasts us. That we don't just have this is all we can manage right now, it's who we are and what we're able to accomplish, but to empower people, empower leaders to build a church that can outreach and outlast us. And so we're in this series about raising leaders and that you are a leader. Today we're going to push pause again on walking through Titus. Our intention is in the next 2 weeks to wrap up Titus chapter 3. But today we're going to go to Luke, and we're going to talk about the principle, the concept of serving. And the reason we're doing this is we have been asking our church over the last month, as we're casting vision for moving into the gym and launching this church. We've been having these 2 primary requests of serving and of giving. And so we wanted to take some time, as we did with generosity, to say, hey, we've been asking our church to engage in this way, yet we haven't taken the time to really share our heart on what serving is. And so if you did not listen to the generosity message, I really, really encourage you to go listen to it. As much as we want people to hear every teaching that comes from Anchor, this one's really important because there is a lot of tension between church and money. And it makes a lot of sense to me because there's been a lot of poor decisions when it comes to church and money. A lot of people have been hurt or manipulated or coerced into giving or seen really poor decisions made with finances that were given to the church. So there's a lot of people who struggle with the concept of church and money. If that's you, you're not crazy. I get it. It makes sense. And so as we have this project, and there is this $35,000 need out there, we wanted to communicate up front what our heart is in regards to church and finances. And the way that we shared, I honestly believe, the way that we shared our heart on finances means that less money will come in for our project. Less people will give. And I think that's okay because it is not a goal of coercing you, of manipulating, of trying to guilt you into giving something. We believe, and one of our core values is that loving always leads to giving. And if we find ourselves caught up in loving Jesus and his love for us, eventually we're going to love what he loves, and we're going to serve what he serves. We're going to build what he builds. We're going to be engaged in what he's engaged with. And I believe that amongst other things, Jesus is building his church. The church is his bride. He cares about the church. And at some point, we're going to care, and we're going to give, and we're going to serve his bride. And so the goal is not how do we get people to give. The goal is how do we as a church get so caught up in the love of Jesus that the rest of our life is a byproduct of that love. We've talked about Ken Merriweather is approaching me. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. God's good. He's building this church. We are not worried about finances. God's been faithful. You've been generous. And he's building this church. We're just going to keep being faithful to him. So thank you for all of your faithfulness. We're convinced that the grace of God, when we encounter it, produces faith inside of us. And faith without works is dead. That faith will produce a changed life. It will produce good works. It will produce the way that we live in holiness and righteousness. and then that produces great influence. I'm convinced that Anchor Church will be a church of influence. And that doesn't mean a certain number, a certain size building. It means that there will be people who interact with Anchor Church, and it will cause them to engage with God on another level, that there will be influence from this church. But influence always starts back with the gospel. It is grace. And when we focus on grace, it will produce faith. And when we see this faith raising up inside of us, we will be challenged to live differently. It will produce a different set of lifestyle, and this will produce influence. So our goal with generosity is going to be our goal here with serving. It is not to coerce you, manipulate you, guilt trip you into signing up to serve on a team. What this is saying, hey, can we be a church as we are beginning that recognizes what happens when grace touches our lives? And as we are leaders in a community, what does that end up looking like? There's a difference between being compelled to do something and being obligated to do something. And I believe Christ's love compels us. And if it's not a compulsion, chill out. Experience the love of God, because the love of God will compel you at some point. If you're obligated, we're all right. There's enough people here that God's going to compel. His love is so real and rooted. It's going to change and it's going to motivate, and behavior will come. The goal is that Christ's love will compel us. If at the end of this you feel obligated, guilted, manipulated, just please don't sign up for anything. But I do want you to know, I'm not going to just try to bait and switch you with this. At the end of our time together, we are going to give you an opportunity to sign up for a service team within Anchor Church. Now, I also want to be clear, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute. Serving is not isolated to the four walls of your church. We want to be people that serve Jesus anywhere and everywhere, and there will be opportunities for us to engage in the body, in serving the bride, but there will be opportunities of serving outside of this. So it's not like, hey, I signed up for a service team at church, check, I don't have to serve anywhere else. That is not the point of today, but the point of today is you are a leader. We've been saying it over and over and over, but then there's this tension of, well, if I'm a leader, how do I lead? What do I do? How do I engage? How do I put that in place? How do I get in the game? So today, as you feel like you're a leader, Christ's love is compelling you to engage in some way, we would like to say, here's how you can get in the game. Here's an opportunity. Here's a position. We want to offer you the opportunity to engage. Here at Anchor, we've been, within our leadership team, a phrase that we're using often is language matters. We really believe that the words that we choose to use, the words we choose not to use really matter. We're working really hard, not just on being like trendy and catchy, but how do we say our values in a way that language matters, that it sticks, that you know who we are. And so we've been trying to articulate language properly. What words are we using and what words are we not using? And this week we added a word to the not used list. This is now a new dirty word at Anchor Church. And the word is volunteer. Not because it's bad in and of itself, but volunteer has kind of the connotation that I will volunteer my time, my energy, my resources. I will donate that to your cause. But words like leading and serving and engaging and empowering are saying, no, this is my vision. This is my heart. This is my calling. This is my church. This is what we are doing together. And so we are not asking for volunteers. Will you use your time, energy, and resources to serve our vision? It's saying, will we be the body of Christ? And will you recognize I am a leader, and I'm going to engage, and I'm going to serve, and I'm going to be a part of a community. So we're going to have a quarter jar, and every time volunteer comes out of your mouth, we're going to dip it in there. It's now the V word. I'm not going to say it anymore. This is a dirty word. We're not those things. We're not the V words. We are leaders. We're servants. We are the body. We engage. We empower each other. And we look at you and not just say, how can we get this out of you, but say, you have gifting, you have experience, you have talent, you have calling, you have purpose. How do we look at this body and say, we need to empower that. We need to engage. We need to have an opportunity for you to use your experience, talent, skill sets, opportunities to build the body of Christ. So you're a leader. You're not a V word. You're a leader. And we are going to give you opportunities to serve, to engage in what God is building here at Anchor Church. To be clear, we're going to ask for this at the end with a little more detail, but we need 48 people to serve on our teams. We need today to have a team of 48. It takes 24 people at this point every Sunday to serve, to have Anchor Church host a service. And so we're going to try to have this be at most every other week. At minimum, we need 48 people to join a service team. And that includes Anchor Kids, setting up and tearing down, our audiovisual team back there, as well as our hospitality team. More details to come. But before we ask you to serve, we want to start with our heart. And I want to give you a short teaching message on our heart for serving. We're going to find it in Luke chapter 22. To be honest, there's over 100. Spencer did a Google search this week on verses on serving, and there was the top 100, meaning there's more than that. There's a lot of places we could go to talk about serving. We're going to look at one. We're going to make some observations of this interaction with Jesus and his followers. It's Luke 22. Little bit of context of what's going on here. This is the Last Supper. Jesus has just spent 3 years with his disciples. This is his last meal on earth. And at this supper, he washes his disciples' feet. All 12 of these grown men's feet he washes. That's a lot of toe jam. That's a lot of fungus. Jesus gives the ultimate act of humility, the ultimate act of service as he washes their feet. It's also at this meal where Jesus institutes the first communion, where he literally looks his disciples in the eye. He says, "This is my body. It's about to be broken apart for you." He takes the wine and says, this is symbolic of my blood that you're about to witness is going to be poured out because of my love and my passion for you. I mean, Jesus is communicating the ultimate act of humility, the ultimate act of service, that he's laying down his life for his friends. And as he communicates the gospel in such a beautiful, passionate, clear way, look at what the disciples begin to talk about in verse 24. Then they began to argue amongst themselves about who would be the greatest among them. Jesus told them, "In this world, the kings and great men lord it over their people, yet they're called friends of the people. But among you, it will be different. Those who are the greatest among you should take the lowest rank, and the leader should be like a servant. Who's more important, the one who sits at the table or the one who serves? The one who sits at the table, of course, but not here." I know you got masks on, but somebody say, "Not here." You sound good. Say it one more time. "Not here." She says, that's how it works out there. This is not how it works in here. "For I am among you as one who serves. You've stayed with me in my time of trial, and just as my Father has granted me a kingdom, I now grant you the right to eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and you will sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel." I love this. We're going to look at this, make some observations out of this story, but in general here, we see that the challenge is that we, in our humanity, we see greatness, we see leadership, is all about having the position and the authority to tell other people what to do, to be in charge, that I get to tell other people what to do. But God thinks of greatness. God sees leadership in terms of serving. That we could say it this way: a boss commands, a leader cares. He says, in this world, you see it like boss mentality. You command, you call the shots, you tell people what to do. They fulfill your vision. But a leader cares for the people, serves the people, it loves the people. He says it's backwards the way that God sees greatness. Now, these disciples, they just followed Jesus for 3 years. They're sitting at this meal with him. They just took communion. They saw the intensity of Jesus' eyes saying, "I love you and my body is going to be broken for you." They see this. They're about to go change the world. Yet they begin arguing amongst themselves about who is the greatest. I just can't imagine that moment of Jesus saying, "This is for you." And they so quickly forget the gospel of Jesus to start arguing about their own positions, about their own recognition, their own platform, their own greatness. It's easy to say, how could they do that? But is this not us? It's just not our tendency as humanity, our tendency as the church, is to say, well, Jesus, the gospel's good, but now I'm going to spend my time and my energy jockeying for position, trying to get attention, trying to get recognition, comparing myself amongst ourselves and trying to rank ourselves. That what the disciples are essentially doing, Jesus has just given them the greatest news ever. And he's just revealed how great and how kind he is. And they essentially say, thanks, Jesus, but how good am I? Whoa, that wasn't the point of this communion here. It was the greatness of Jesus. They say, thanks, Jesus, but I would like some recognition. Thanks, Jesus. I know that you're pretty great, but am I better than him? Are we better than them? This is what they so quickly do. And to me, this can seem like it must have been such a slap in the face. Jesus just pours the gospel out, washes their feet, gives them the body and the blood, and they're more concerned about their position amongst each other. I wonder how often the way that we posture ourselves, the way that we behave, the frustration when we don't get recognized, when we don't get the promotion, when we don't get the position, is it a slap in the face where Jesus is like, no, I'm giving you my everything, and that's what you're worried about? That's what's taking your attention right now? I just think that we were never intended to rank, compare, to self-promote, to try to get ourselves recognition. It's like saying to Jesus, thanks for what you've offered, but I'd like more. And we spend so much of our time, rather than being grateful for the best news, the most expensive gift that has ever been given, we find ourselves saying, that was cool, now make me more comfortable. Give me a better position. Give me more, give me more, give me more. And what a tragedy to take our eyes off the gospel and begin ranking ourselves. And Jesus, in verse 25, he interrupts them. They're arguing. They're getting heated about who's better. Jesus interrupts and told them, hey guys, in this world, kings and great men lord it over their people, yet they're called friends of the people. I love that Jesus doesn't interrupt and actually start ranking them. He knows who's going to make the biggest impact in this earth. Like, he knows. But he doesn't rank them. He doesn't say, well, Peter, James, and John, clearly you're at the front. Sorry, Bartholomew and Thaddeus, 2,000 years from now, people are not even going to remember you were part of the 12. So, end of the line, bro. He doesn't. You know, he doesn't say, Thomas, the only thing you're going to be remembered for is that one time you doubted, not the other good things you did. So, go hang out with Bartholomew. He doesn't rank them. He says, hey, guys, stop it. Like, this is not the point of who's going to do more, who is better. He begins by saying, guys, this is what the world does. This is what the leaders of society try to do. He's like he's saying, you guys sound like a political ad. You're saying you're friends of the people. You're going to do what everyone else wants, but you're just getting your own platform, your own position. He's like, you're a political ad right now, and that's not the heart of the gospel. By the way, no matter where you're at politically, at least in a couple of months, we all have the win of no more political ads for a while. Like, that'll be a good day. Recently, our daughter Berkeley, she's 8. She asked Danny. She said, Danny, or she didn't say Danny. She calls her mom. Call her mom, okay? I'll call her Danny. All right. She says, Mom, what do you think is worse, coronavirus or political ads? And she goes, I think it's political ads. Finley, our 5-year-old, the other day was like, do you guys think Steve Daines is fighting coronavirus right now? Like, they just hear everything. And he chose who he wanted to vote for because he saw a commercial of one of the candidates with a BB gun. That's what he thought. So, Jesus saying, hey, this is what the world does. They just promote, I'll be who you want me to be so I can get what I want. Verse 26, but among you it will be different. It's not how it works with my followers. Those who are the greatest among you should take the lowest rank, and the leader should be like a servant. So convicting. Jesus says, fellas, that's not how we roll. The following Jesus is not about self-promoting, jockeying for position, doing what we do for recognition. Following Jesus is not serving once you've been given a pleasant platform, a good position, a paycheck. These aren't the reasons why we serve. Jesus says it's going to be different with you, meaning that following Jesus is often a direct contradiction to our natural tendencies. So it's going to be different. I think Spencer said this phrase this week as we were talking about this concept. He says, a lot of people want to say they're down with Jesus. But if you're going to be down with Jesus, you're down for laying down your life. Following Jesus, he says the way that we roll is we serve. We don't get promotion. We don't look for our own comfort, our own recognition. Like, if you want to say, like, I'm good with Jesus, then we better be ready to go in opposition to our natural tendencies, and we are people who serve, which is tough because we're in a culture that is constantly grooming us to free ourselves from having to serve. It's all about working hard so that you don't have to work. It's all about how can we position ourselves in a way to be catered to. It's what we're groomed for, but the gospel is opposed. So, it's not about that. And I love that it says that the greatest among you will be in some of the lower ranks, that the greatest leaders will be in positions of serving, meaning this, inside of this community at Anchor Church, some of our greatest leaders may never step on a stage. Some of our greatest leaders may never get a paycheck. Some of our greatest leaders will be seemingly insignificant in the amount of face time that they get before the church. But the greatest leaders will be those who are in places of serving. I love what Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew, I think it's chapter 6. He says that we serve a God who sees what is done in secret and rewards it. He says, don't try to do all of what you do for attention. If you get the recognition of the people around you, that's all the reward you're going to get. But if you just faithfully serve, he sees it all, and he faithfully rewards those, even who don't get the recognition on this earth. He sees it. And then in verse 27, I love the illustration Jesus presents to us. He says, who is more important, the one who sits at the table or the one who serves? Well, the one who sits at the table, of course. But not here, exclamation point. I love it. I think he gave this sweet little pause there. Well, of course it's the person who's sitting at the table. Psych. He's like, not here. That's not how it works. He says, for I am among you as one who serves. Church planting 101. Greatness comes from serving. The greatness of this church is not in how well we communicate or how good our band is or how beautiful our buildings are or how many people show up. Greatness, influence, impact, a church that outlasts us is found in a community who serves. That we just serve the people around us. That we love God and we love others. We treat people the way that we would want to be treated. That we serve, we engage. That greatness is found by serving. Now I know out there, whatever out there is to you, the business world, out there it's, no. You do whatever you can to have people serve you. Anchor Church, not here. Not here. This is not a place we come to say, how can I be pampered? How can I be catered to? No, we've got a gospel that is so beautiful, so valuable. It's how can I serve? How can I engage? I want to tell you again, your leadership is not bound to what happens in these walls. Much like generosity, opportunities are available all around you that are specific to you. Opportunities to serve in this community that your pastors will never see. But they're in front of you as a gift for you to engage, to be the hands and feet, to be the church in this community around us. We've talked about this in this whole series, that leading in the church is to be preceded by leading in the home. The qualifications for elders, as we read in Titus, are not how educated and how talented you are. The qualifications are how well do you lead your home. If you're not leading in the home well, you're not qualified to lead in the church well. That it starts at the home. And when you are caring for and loving and serving your biological home, you will grow to learn and to love and to give and to serve your spiritual home. But it starts in the home first. Some of you, your call today is not to sign up to serve Anchor Church. Some of you, your call today is to go home and serve your spouse and to serve your kids and to serve your parents and to just be the heart of God in your own home. That if the service is not happening in your own home right now, let's focus on that first. Let's start in the home. But as we continue to grow in Jesus and his love for us, and we're learning to love and to serve and be generous in our own homes, I am convinced it will take place then in the church body. Jesus cares about the church. He's building his church. It is the family of God that we will find ourselves growing and loving and serving. Church will be a part of it, but it starts in the home. And serving is being the church. Again, there's needs in front of you. So you don't just serve at Anchor Church so that the rest of the week Anchor Church can serve Missoula. You serve the city. You be the church. Don't just serve Anchor Church. Serve Jesus by being the church. And on some level, I think it will be serving within these walls. But it's not going to be, I serve on Sunday, so the rest of the week I'm catered to. No, we serve. We're people that serve. But when it does come to relationship to the church, my question to you is your primary aim, desire of the church, is this about a place of serving or a place of being served? How do you view your relationship with your church? Is it the place where I go to be served, or is it a place that I go to serve, to engage, to partner with, to be a part of the body? Now, both are extremely important, and I pray and I believe that this will be a place that is both for you. That if we are loving and caring in a place of serving, we're going to love and care and serve each other. And there will be seasons where there are needs in your life that need to be cared for, and we ought to be a place ready to do that. And there's going to be seasons where you're strong and someone else is weak, and it's your time to step up and to serve. We better be a place that's both. I'm not saying you just go somewhere that isn't helpful, isn't beneficial to you, and just give all your time and energy. No, I hope this place is healthy for you and healthy for your family. But is it just I go there to be served, or is this a part where I am engaging? I'm a part of what God is building. Now, I think a significant sign of maturity in a believer is this transition from being served to then engaging in serving. I think it's a huge point where our relationship with our church is not, I'll go here as long as I'm catered to, as long as it's done the way that I like it, as long as my needs are met, as long as I get the time and the attention that I'm looking for, as long as it's the things that I like, I'll be here. But as soon as I'm not catered to anymore, I'm gone. Now, I get that for a season. But a huge transition is when you transition from I'm here to be catered to saying, you know what? I don't like everything that's being said, being done, this maybe doesn't make me ultimately comfortable, but I'm not here just to be catered to, but I'm here to be a part of other people in this community hearing the gospel. That I will not just be served, but I will serve. I will be engaged. I'll serve so that others can receive. I love the illustration Jesus gives. He sets up a table. He says, who's more important, the people that are in all of the seats or those who are not sitting down but are doing the work and are serving? He says, what our minds say is it's the people that are sitting that are most important. But Jesus says that it's the people that are sitting that aren't contributing. It's the people who are serving, doing the work. Those in the kingdom mind, those are the ones that are most valuable, the ones that are most important. And there is a huge sign of maturity when we show up to church and we sit down because we need to experience the love of God. We need to experience community. We need to build trust. And so we sit there and we receive and we receive and we receive. And it is good and it is right. And that is what the church is for. But it is so beautiful and so mature when you're sitting there and you look around and you're like, you know what? I'm not where I was when I started. I feel this confidence. I feel this community. I feel that there's a sense of trust. And I recognize how helpful and healthy this has been for me. You know what? I don't need to just sit here anymore. I can stand up. I can join the people that are serving. And I just opened up a seat for someone else to receive what I've received. It's a huge sign of maturity. It's how the church works. We used this phrase a couple weeks ago in generosity, and I didn't really mean to say it, but it just like stuck, and language matters, and it's sticky language is valuable, so we might keep saying it. And it's using the word mooch, and I don't know if that's derogatory to you, but it's so sticky, we're going to maybe keep with it. I don't mean it to be degrading or derogatory, but a mooch is somebody who gets to receive, who takes, who gets without contributing to the cost of that which they're getting. I made the bold confession 2 weeks ago. I'm a Netflix mooch. I'm sharing a Netflix account. I'm sharing it with my in-laws. They pay for it. I watch it. I get all of the benefits without contributing to it. That's what a mooch is. And I'm not saying it's mean or derogatory. That's what mooching is I don't contribute. There is a cost. I'm not contributing to it, but I get the benefits of it. And in church, there are those that cover the costs of what it takes to do this. We pay rent. We pay our staff. We need to move into there. We need to buy changing tables. We have cameras so people can watch on live stream. It actually has a cost to function as a church. And there are portions of our church that are contributing to that, and there are portions that don't. Those that don't, I really don't mean this derogatory, that's a mooch. You get to go receive the same as everybody else without contributing the same as everybody else. I want to say this as incredibly clear as I can. Mooches are welcome. If you're a mooch, we love you. You should be here. I'm not mad at you. The reason that you get to be here and you don't have to contribute is because you're surrounded by some of the most amazing, generous leaders in our community who want mooches in this place, who stood up from their seat so someone else could take it. And if you're taking that seat right now, you're exactly who we were praying for. You're exactly who we're serving. You are welcome here. There should always be mooches at Anchor Church. Always. And if you're one of them, awesome. We love you. We've been praying for you. welcome to the family. We love mooches, and we always want room for one more mooch. But for there to be room for one more mooch, we got to have one person get out of their seat and serve and give and contribute to the cost so someone else can get there. If it's your season to mooch on. More power to you. That's awesome. But if it's your season to stop mooching and free up your seat so someone else can sit, that's what this church is about. We're always going to be building to engage one more person, to build a church that outreaches and outlasts us. That it's not just about who's here today, it's who God wants to reach tomorrow. And if there's not room at the table for one more mooch, somebody better stand up and start contributing, because this church will always have room for one more mooch. That we are motivated, we're compelled by a vision, by a mission to contribute, to get involved. And then in verse 28, I love that Jesus, he gives kind of the motivation, the vision, the heart, the why behind we're serving, why we spend our days serving. In verse 28, he says, "You have stayed with me in my time of trial. And just as my Father has granted me a kingdom, I now grant you the right to eat and to drink at my table in my kingdom. And you'll sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel." I just love this. Jesus says, boys, settle down. Don't worry about it. Your future position is secure. It's like, why are you fighting about a chair at a table here on earth when, let me tell you, you've got a reserved seat in eternity? You will be sitting. You will sit at my table in my kingdom, and it's going to be incredible. You have a reserved seat. You guys remember when we used to go to movies? Wasn't that awesome? Do you guys remember way back when we went to movies, if a new movie was coming out and you knew a lot of people were going to go see it, if you were going with some buddies or you wanted a decent seat, you showed up early and you fought to get in line. You had someone hold your spot and you did the old school cuts back thing. You remember this? Because you wanted to make sure that you weren't in the front row like this, and you want to make sure that your group got to sit together. And so you had to get the best position in order to make sure you got the seats that you wanted. But you remember when they started rolling out the apps where you could order your seats ahead of time, and your seats are secure? Game changer. I don't got to show up early. I can just sneak in during previews, and my seats are waiting for me because I reserved them online. This is a game changer. Everything changes when you know your seat is secure. If you don't know your seat's going to be there, you don't know if you're going to be able to sit together, you don't know if you're going to be in the nosebleeds or in the front row, then you got to get there early and you got to fight for your position. But reserved seating changes everything. And Jesus is saying, boys, you got a seat. And it's way better than these ones you're fighting over right now. You got a seat at my table, in my kingdom. You don't have to fight about your position right now because your seats are reserved. I want to tell you, church, we can spend our limited time on this earth serving and loving and giving our time and our energy and our resources and not fighting for position and not fighting for recognition, because we have reserved seats at His table in His kingdom. And if this is true, why am I fighting for my position here when that's where I got to be for eternity? We got reserved seats. He's like, boys, settle down. This doesn't even matter. Go live your life. Go be the best you. No matter how it compares to someone else's, you be who I called you to be. And then your days of serving will be over on this earth, and we will celebrate in the presence of God for eternity. If this life is all that we have, then I get it. Fight for position. Get control. Get as much as you can. Promote yourself. It makes sense. But if the gospel is true and heaven is our eternal home, what are we doing? Wasting our time promoting our own agendas and our own comforts and just going to church to get something instead of saying, I want other people at that seat, at that table in eternity, and I will spend my days serving and engaging. Church, if we are not confident in the gospel, we'll spend our time looking for comfort, jockeying for position. We'll have a really hard time serving, even a harder time serving with the right motives, with the right hearts, with the right desires. It's the gospel. It's the eternal perspective that is our key to serving. We are citizens of heaven, and we are not going to worry about position, power, or prestige when we get there. We're just caught up that we are in the presence of our God. This is our home, in the presence of God. We have such little time on this earth. And it's the only window of time that you and I have to influence other people towards that table in that kingdom. I don't know how many years you and I have left, but it's limited. And then we have eternity sitting at the table of Jesus. What are we doing trying to get catered to here? This is our only chance to tell Missoula we love them. This is our only chance to create a hospitable environment for people to hear the gospel. We don't get that chance when this life is over. Jesus is saying, guys, your seat is secure. This is your one shot to serve and to love and to contribute to something that is bigger than you, to build something that will outlast you. Are we going to fight for position and recognition and gratitude and paychecks? Or are we going to say, I got one life and I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to engage. I'm going to build what Jesus is building. At the end of the day, when my life is over, I'm going to take a seat and worship my King forever, knowing I gave it all I got down there. Sure, I gave up some time and some energy and some money, but I wanted people to know Jesus before my time was up. Today, I'm convinced that a plea for you to just serve would only last so long because it'd be in your own strength. And when you get a manipulative message of, we really need you to do this, and guilt trip you into it and try to obligate you instead of Christ's love compelling you, this is where burnout and frustration is about 3 months away. Where we get this church off the ground and then, people are not excited about serving anymore. There's more people attending, less people serving. We're in trouble. When you feel obligated, guilted into serving, you serve 2 or 3 times, and you're like, that's not real fun. I'd rather be catered to. So you start getting a little distant, and people actually stop coming to church because they feel so bad they didn't fulfill the obligations that they signed up for, but they shouldn't have signed up for it because they were guilted into it in the first place. We're putting ourselves in a world of hurt if you feel like, well, I got guilted into doing this. We're in a lot of trouble if that's the message. This is a plea, though, to receive and remember the gospel of Jesus. So remember, he's breaking his body and his blood and giving it to you, saying, you got one shot. You got one life. And then I got a reserved seat for you. But what are you going to do with this one shot? Are you going to argue with each other? Are you going to try to get pampered? Or are you going to give all you got? And Christ's love compels us. And when we get caught up in his grace, produces faith. Genuine faith will produce good works, which includes giving and serving and engaging. And that will produce influence. We want to be people of influence. Influence doesn't happen without the work that faith is calling us to do that comes from the grace of God. I want to tell you that serving that lasts is only found as a response to the gospel. The power to serve is not found in a sermon on serving. The power to serve is found in the gospel of Jesus. And I'm convinced that when we see the grace of Jesus, all we can do is begin to buy into his mission. I believe it's the story of grace, faith, good works, influence. But I believe it's the story, not just the scripture, it's the story of you. I've seen it. I've seen it in this church. I've seen people get caught up in the grace of Jesus and then just serving like crazy. I've seen it in Eric and Bree Hartzell. Always engaged, always serving, always. I've seen it in Nathan and Denise Reap. I've seen it in Casey and Audrey McMillan. I've seen it in Jake, sitting at that back table week after week after week. I've seen it in Timmy and Kiana. I've seen the gospel transform. I've seen it in those that just spent hours painting a lobby white. I've seen it those of you that show up at 7 a.m. to start moving stuff so someone else can sit with good attitudes, providing opportunity for mooches to come in who will never know how much you sweat this morning, how much you're going to sweat when they leave, putting this all back. I've seen it. The gospel changes us. I love that some of you have been asking, how do I serve? How do I engage? And I love that, not just because our service teams are going to get stronger, because the gospel is taking root in your hearts. I want to tell you, we're about to give you some opportunities to engage. But if serving is not a driving force in your heart right now, I'm not here to reprimand you, but to plead with you to look at the gospel. And maybe it is a season to mooch. We have room for you. don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like this isn't the place for you. We're talking about Church Planning 101. We got to talk about engaging in service teams. But if it's not you right now, we have room because there's other people serving right now. Some of you maybe are not engaging, and it's not because it's the right season for you to mooch. It's because it's been a season of just, I'd rather be catered to. I want to tell you, I don't want to be afraid to ask you to not wait till you feel right. This isn't just based on feelings. Serving's hard. Serving takes time. It takes work. It takes energy. It's not usually doing the things we want to spend our time doing, but there's a mission that's driving us. I want to tell you, if you serve for your own recognition, it's possible to walk away disappointed. You might not get thanked. You might not get recognized. But if you are serving because you believe in the mission of Jesus, there's joy, there's satisfaction, there's fulfillment on the other side. And I truly hope that we build a church with a culture of recognition, gratitude, thankfulness, generosity, appreciation. But ultimate fulfillment is not found in the appreciation from your church. Ultimate fulfillment is going to be that day sitting at his table in his kingdom. The fulfillment will come, and I hope we appreciate you. We do our best to say thank you and give thank you notes and gift cards of gratitude, and we want to build that. But it's possible that we'll miss out on the gratitude you feel like you deserve on this earth. But if it's the right heart of I'm serving my King, fulfillment will be on that day. So here's how we conclude with a question. First and foremost, if you're here and you're not a believer in Jesus or you're watching online, you don't consider yourself a Christian, a follower of Jesus, I want to say Jesus has provided his body, his blood for you. That he comes first to wash, to clean. The first question is not, will you serve Jesus? The first question is, will you let Jesus serve you? Will you receive the sacrifice of the cross? Will you receive the forgiveness and the hope and the life that its resurrection brings? Will you let Jesus wash and cleanse you? And it's really simple. Today, wherever you're at in this room, wherever you're listening, will you just say, Jesus, I receive you coming into my life, cleansing me, offering me life abundant, life eternal. And again, that doesn't mean life is easy. It's a call that's countercultural to serve, but you find such purpose in the call. The second question, specifically to Anchor Church, is will you get out of your seat and begin to serve so that there's room for one more mooch? Would you consider today what it would look like for you to engage in serving here at Anchor Church? Those of you that are going to have sign-ups out in the lobby, you can go get that set up right now. I want to real quickly, we're going to try to wrap this up by giving you opportunities. What does it actually look like to serve and engage? Those of you who feel like it's time to serve, I want to be up front. We've got some significant needs, and we believe our teams are going to grow, but we're going to ask for more and hope that we can relax than to ask for something small and in a couple weeks say, we need more from you. So the ask that we are proposing today is significant, and I hope it's overkill, and I hope it gets better. But we're going to start big and make it a little easier versus the other way around. So what we're asking for, if you sign up to serve today, is a 6-month commitment of being available every other week. Get this church off the ground. So all of our service teams, we're asking for what we need in a single week and doubling it so that it's every other week. If we get more than that, awesome. Hopefully we get people more than that, and hopefully as we figure this out, maybe we need less people serving than what's on here right now. But depending on the response, depending on the response today, and depending on a few weeks of experience actually running these teams, this info could change. But to the best of our ability, this is what we need when we're asking for a 6-month commitment every other week. And sure, if there's weeks you need to shuffle around, we get it. That'll happen. But here's the teams that we need. First, we need a set up and tear down team. The good news for the setup and tear down team is you get to be in church. Your work happens before and after. You still get to sit here and be a part of church. We need 8 people today to sign up for that. It's going to be 4 per week, so we need to double that, 8. We would love it if 16 people signed up for this. And this is a significant request. It's from 7 a.m. to get here because the band and the audio team start setting up, and in the gym, we got to lay down the tarp and set the stage before they can get going. So it's showing up early to get that stuff set. Hopefully, there's a break in there before 10 o'clock. I don't think it's going to take that long to set up, but it starts at 7. So it's setting up at 7. Hopefully, there's a break in there before church starts. And then when church is over, we break it back down and we pack it back out. So these people need to be able-bodied. It's moving some heavy equipment. So this isn't for everybody, but this is a significant need that we're going to have every single week. And you are literally setting the stage for the gospel. That every person that comes and sits down and hears the music, that can see the screen, every child that comes in, every single person, you're setting the stage for them to hear the gospel. So we're going to have that out in the lobby in just a minute. Hospitality team. Again, good news, majority, if not all of the hospitality team gets to sit in church. We need 8. Again, this will be 4 people per week. Would love to have 16. The hospitality team includes people helping out with parking if necessary, a greeting team passing out mints. We're going to have a welcome booth and a merch booth set up when we launch. So we want to have people being able to man that. So the request there is 2 of the 4 are going to be here early to help with setup, and 2 of those 4 are going to stay late to help with tear down. So the time request is either from 7 to 10:15 or from 9:30 to 1 o'clock. And these ones don't have to be able-bodied. This is if moving stuff with a setup and tear down team isn't for you, there's still simple cleanup, but we would like to have more hands on deck with setup and tear down. And again, that might relax, but right now we're going to have it as high of a call as possible. If you have already been on the hospitality team, our request today is that you don't assume that you're already on the list. Go sign up again. We're going to pretty much start from scratch with that team. The next we have is the AV team. It's the team that allows lights and sound and our live stream and the cameras and the words on the screen. It's our AV team. You are working, but you do get to sit in church. You don't just get to space out and enjoy just relaxing there. You're working, but you get to be in church for that. We need 8. It's, again, 4 per week. We'd love to have 12. That is a 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's a big request. It's showing up your week early to help set everything up. And when it's over, we got to put it all back away. And so we want the tech team touching the tech stuff. So that is a significant request. I do want to let you know training is available. You don't have to be a techie and a sound guru to sign up for this team. And there are some positions that don't take a lot of training. Sermon slides, once you learn the program, it's as simple as pushing the button, paying attention, knowing what's coming next, putting the verse that I say up on the screen. It's really, really helpful and doesn't take a lot of training. And it's really, really important role. We're also going to have people manning cameras. Again, minimal training. You don't have to be a techie to do that. So that's what we need on the AV team. Again, if you're already on the team, pretend like you're not. Sign up today. We want everyone to start fresh with contact information. And then maybe our largest in terms of needing people to serve is Anchor Kids. And Anchor Kids, likely you will miss out on church the week that you're serving. But it is one of the most tangible ways we can get up from our seats, go serve, so that some other mom, dad, parent, couple who need to hear the gospel have a chance to sit and be served. It's a very tangible way. So we need 24. We have to have 12 per week to run all of our classes. We need 24. Would love 48. I want to make this very clear. You are not required to teach. More than likely, you will not teach. There's a whole teaching department that's going to be separate from this, so don't feel like if you sign up you have to teach. And I do want to let you know, everyone who signs up for the kids team will need a background check. Some of you don't want to have a background check, some of you wouldn't pass it, so serve in other departments. But I just want to make it very clear, background checks will be taken. The safety of our kids is super important. So we've got different categories that'll be out here in just a minute for you to serve in Anchor Kids. One is check in and check out. We need 4 people for that. That is, if you saw it today, there is an iPad and a printer and putting stickers on. This person needs to be really good with people. If you don't like talking to people, please don't sign up. You got to be really good with parents who are here for the first time and are letting their child go to a room that they've never been to before. You need to be able to be good with the children. You need to be able to communicate the right information, looking at the parents' eyes. It is really, really important. If that moment isn't good for a first-time family, it doesn't matter how well the rest of church went if they're not comfortable with that interaction. So we need very good people in that spot. Need 4. Nursery, we need 4. 2 per week at this point. We need 4. Would love to have 8. Nursery is taking care of the 0 to 2s. It's holding babies. There's no teaching. There's no one back talking you or jumping off tables, but you might have to change a diaper. So we need some people who are ready to hold some babies, 0 to 2. That is the nursery class. Then there's going to be the older kids classes, which I'm not going to take the time to explain how they're going to be orchestrated today. But we would love to have 2 people sign up for Kids Tech. Kids Tech is going to be pretty simple. There's going to be everything that's going to be put up on the screen in this space to be able to push play on the next video, on the next curriculum, and to play some music. It's going to be just one person. So we'd like to have 2 people who would love to just help the gospel be presented to kids. Then we've got a group/crafts team. That's going to be after the message is taught. Some of the older kids will break up into discussion groups. Some of the younger kids will go straight to a craft. So this is going to be more low energy, low impact, but you still would love to help out with the kids. We need 4 people to do that. And then we need a burn energy activity group of people. That's going to be downstairs where there's going to be programs set for you, whether it's obstacle courses or certain games. It's going to be rotating classes through, and you will be taking shifts with different ages of kids, burning energy. So it's high energy, it's active. We would love those of you that would just love to have some kids run around and have some fun with them. We need 6 for that role. And all of those roles are from 9:30 when pre-service prayer starts. Pre-service prayer is 9:30 to 9:45. Everyone's welcome to that. At 9:45, we all head to our positions, and we're ready to serve the church as they start coming in. So being here at 9:30 and then just till noon would be all of those service areas. But then we also need a setup and tear down team specifically for kids. We're going to have a setup and tear down team for all of that. But then we're going to have to set this room and the room below and the nursery for kids. So that is an 8:30 to 12:30 team. We need 4 of those. So those are all of our positions. Again, I'm not trying to coerce you into those, but you feel ready to lead, ready to serve, ready to be engaged. Those are the areas of how you can take this call to serve and how you can actively participate in them. Again, sign up if you're already on. Those of you that are kids, everything else, sign up. You'll be getting an email. Those of you signing up for kids, there's going to be some training opportunities coming up. One of them next week right after church. We're going to just take 30 minutes to do some training and start opening up more and more kids' classrooms as we're able to get people trained. I also want to say if you sign up for more than one, you're not required to. If you do, you might be prepared to serve more than every other week. There may be every other week in kids. The other week, you're okay doing some greeting, some hospitality, and you still get to come to church. I just want to let you know we're going to do our best to utilize, empower our church, and avoid burnout. But we're going to set the bar high. So that's where we're at. Let's pray. Jesus, love you. Thanks for this church. Thank you for the ways that you served us. And we thank you for what you're doing in this church. God, there is great vision. We're so grateful for the kindness, the generosity that you have displayed and that this community has displayed already. And we thank you for how you're taking care of us financially. We're grateful for the people who have already stepped up to serve. God, we thank you that we are a body. We are all contributors, that this is our church, that we are not serving someone else's vision. We are serving Jesus in the body you've called us to be a part of. God, we look forward to these children's ministry classes opening up and being able to serve families better in our community. Lord, we're grateful for the opportunity to officially launch here in November. Show us who you want us to invite for November 8th. God, thank you that you are building your church and you allow us to participate. We love you. In His name we pray. Amen. Those of you who are watching online, forgot to mention, you can go to our website, goanchorchurch.com. You can hit the contact button, and then you can just say, hey, I'm interested in serving in this area. You guys are amazing. This is a very different setting of how we conclude today, but we're done. Out there in the lobby, there are multiple computers with multiple people, and you can sign up for anything at any computer. You don't have to get in a specific line. But if today's the day for you to engage in serving, please do that. You guys are amazing. We love you. Excited to launch this church with you. And feel free to head out right now and sign up. Love you, church.
Again, we hope that this message was a blessing to you. Feel free to check out some more of our resources here on YouTube. Or if you're interested in knowing more about us here at Anchor Church, you can head on over to our website at goanchorchurch.com or follow us on any of our social media platforms.